Hello, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to this very impromptu 24-hour reading vlog. So, I don't know what possessed me. It is 9:30 p.m. on January 15th, and since it's a 3-day weekend, I decided why not vlog? I am not staying up for 24 hours to read. I am far too old for that nowadays. But I figured I would just read and chronicle 24 hours in my life. Today has actually been a ridiculously productive day. I don't know how that happened, but I woke up this morning and I did a deep clean of my bedroom, which for anyone who doesn't know, I live with my parents basically to pay off $100,000 in student loan debt and also to save to buy a house. So I literally live in my room. So I did a deep clean of that because it was in dire need of it after the holidays. I also completely reorganized my bookcases, which I will show you, I guess, tomorrow when the light is better because, as I said, it's like something to 9 in the evening. Then after I did that, I did some exciting stuff in preparation for my talk with my realtor on Monday about the house hunt. So that's hopefully happening in 2022. And then I spent the duration of the day editing 3 videos. So I've been very, very productive, and here we are. I am energized. I've literally started contemplating a readathon that I might be hosting, reached out to someone about co-hosting it with me, so hopefully you'll hear more about that in due course. But yeah, it's just been a very productive day, and maybe that is why I was just inspired to sit down and film a vlog and chronicle my reading experience and what have you. So that's what I'm gonna do. So far this month I have finished reading 4 books, but I do still have quite a few books that I would like to get to by the end of the month. So there are a couple shorter ones that I feel like I could squeeze into a 24-hour vlog and maybe make a dent in it. So the first thing is one that I don't anticipate finishing during this reading vlog. It is Breasts and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami. This is a book that I am reading for the Found in Translation book club that I co-host with Noelle and Annie. I want to say 150 pages in, but I'm going to continue reading this. It would be ideal if I managed to read another 150 pages of this basically tomorrow. So that's something that I am going to continue to read, not finish during the vlog. A book that I would like to try to finish during the reading vlog is Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. This is like the prequel to Jane Eyre about the woman in the attic. So this has been high on my list of books to read because I do think it could be a possible favorite of mine. I've heard really good things about it. So it's short, which is why I feel like it's perfect for a 24-hour reading vlog. It's like 150 pages. So I'd like to get through that. There's also the possibility of reading Moon Tiger by Penelope Lively, which is like a modern classic that, again, I think has the potential to be something I'm going to really enjoy. And it is also a slim book. This book I do feel like is going to be pretty sad and tragic and not necessarily uplifting, but those are the books that I tend to really enjoy. It also has a really lovely cover. I don't know why that photography just does something for me. And then the book that I think I'm going to try to sit and read this evening is actually A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. So it is one of the plays in this book. Usually I can read a play in like the time that you would sit and watch it. So I have a feeling it's probably like a 2 to 3 hour sort of stint if you were watching a production of it. Don't quote me on that because I have actually never seen A Doll's House performed, but I have read it once before. So I do feel like it's a book that I could check off easily tonight, or at least get pretty close to finishing it. So I think this is the one that I'm going to start this reading vlog with and see how far I get. But as I said, this is really, really impromptu. I don't have any major plans. I was just like, you know what? It's a 3-day weekend. I've been very productive. Tomorrow, I kind of just want to take it easy, read, watch movies, and that's about it. Maybe do laundry. So, so I do feel like it's the perfect time to just sit and read. So that's what I'm gonna do. Wish me the best of luck. And right now, as I said, it's like 9 p.m. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to get a little reading in and then probably sit and watch an episode or two of Vera, which is a British crime show that I'm now addicted to on BritBox. So that's the plan for now. I will check in with you on the flip side. Hi there, checking in. It is something to 11, so it's been around 2 hours since I last checked in, but I did start and finish A Doll's House, so I wanted to check in. This is actually the second or third time I've read A Doll's House, which is a Norwegian play written in the 19th century by Henrik Ibsen. The first time I read it was for one of my history seminars back in the college days, and I loved it then, and I honestly love it now. It was such a nice, like, journey back to this story. So essentially, it is the story of this marriage between Nora and Torvald Helmer, and it's really using their marriage in a way to make a commentary on the society in which the characters live. So it's really a commentary on like the gendered roles within a marriage and within society, and it's just honestly really, really fascinating to see Nora's transformation over the course of the 3 acts. I mean, I love the character of Nora, and this is one of these plays that I would love to see actually performed because I feel like there is something in Nora's character which is conveyed with her speech that just makes her feel so animated and vibrant and just like energetic, so that it would actually be really fascinating to see her spatially interact with a stage and with other actors and other characters in that way. It's just because it's so rich. There's like so much going on there with the different themes about marriage, about, as I said, the gendered roles, about like motherhood and like obligations to one's family, and it's a fave. Like there's a reason I wanted to reread it, and it's just so nice to actually sit down and read through something in one sitting. I feel like that's not something that happens much anymore because who has the time to do that? So yeah, those are my thoughts. But as I said, this is a reread for me. It's a favorite play of mine. I really enjoy Ibsen, and I'm very much looking forward to reading the other plays that are in here. I have read Enemy of the People, which is in here before. I read it for the same seminar in school, but I have not read the other two, so I would like to get to them sooner rather than later. but I did want to give you kind of that hot take on the play before I pass out because that's what's about to happen. What a fun time. I really miss reading plays. I know they're not like super popular on BookTube, but I have always really enjoyed them. So that was a nice little break for me. Nice to like check something off at the very beginning of this reading vlog. But it is now 11 p.m. at night on Saturday. I am old, so what I'm gonna do is go to bed. I'm going to put on Vera, probably make it through only like an episode. They're like hour and a half long episodes, so I'll be lucky if I make it through a full episode before I fall asleep. But I will check in with you in the morning at some point, probably after I've read a little bit of Breasts and Eggs. So, yeah, I will chat with you later. Have a good night, everyone. Good morning from me and Mount Vesuvius. It is 10:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, and for like the rare moment I have the house completely to myself for the next few hours, and I plan to take full advantage of it. This rarely happens, and it's also freezing cold outside. We're talking like single digits in Fahrenheit right now. So I have no desire to leave the cocoon that is my bed today. So it is really the perfect opportunity to read. But I did figure I would check in with you since morning. I was up fairly early. I actually woke up just before 6, but didn't get out of bed until around 6:30, 6:45, and I read about 50 pages of Breasts and Eggs, which I'm really enjoying. It's one of those books that I have been meaning to read for so long. Um, and I'm so glad that we actually picked it for our first book, our January book, because I am really enjoying the writing style. I was always a little bit nervous that maybe I wouldn't get along with it, but it does feel very like seamless as far as a translation goes. It's very smooth. There's some sort of like frankness to it that I particularly enjoy. Like Miyako Kawakami does not pull any punches. She says what she means and means what she says. And there I like that. I like the honesty of it and sort of the simplicity of the prose. And it was really amusing because the character of Natsumi is a writer, and she's talking about writing in book 2 because she's been working on a novel, and her like editor starts talking to her about how you have to keep your voice as a writer, and there's something in the rhythm that you should preserve and you don't want to lose. And I feel like there is a rhythm here that is very authentic. I would love to know what it's like to read it in its original language. It's always kind of the one downside to reading a translation is that a translation can only do so much. So there is that. But I am enjoying it so far, and we'll have the live show. I think it's actually February 1st. So depending on when this like vlog goes live, it might have already happened, but I know there are some discussions already happening on the Discord. And everyone so far seems to be enjoying it. It's the middle of the month, and actually some people have already finished it, which is really impressive because for me to be reading it now is early for me with a book club book. I usually don't start it till like a few days before. So I've been taking copious notes to make sure that I don't forget anything because I know I will have read like several books in the interim. But anywho, enough of that. I might try to read another 50 to 100 pages of that today. We'll see. I'm like 45% in, according to the story graph. But I think what I will do now is actually show you the beautiful organized bookcases that I have, because I spent a good chunk of yesterday morning trying to put it in some semblance of order. I've never done a like bookshelf tour on my channel. If that's something that people would enjoy in more detail, please let me know because this is going to be very quick and dirty. I'm not going to go through the different shelves. I'm really just talking about what the heck I did to try to organize the chaos that is my book life. So, if that is something that would interest you, certainly let me know. But why don't we take a look? So, this is my fiction bookshelf. And what I ended up doing was trying to make it so that I could see books that I haven't read yet more easily. So I ended up putting like on this shelf here, putting books that I've read in the back behind these books in the front. I put them in some sort of alphabetical order by author's last name, although because I do have to double up on certain shelves, it's not like concise, it's not 100% accurate, but I can kind of sort of figure out what I'm looking for. And then at the bottom, I ended up putting my big series because they were just taking up space, and also my Gone with the Wind books. And then this is my nonfiction shelf, which, ooh, the light here. Let's close that curtain. So I didn't change a ton here. What I ended up doing was getting rid of just a couple books. I find it really difficult to get rid of nonfiction for whatever reason, but I was able to put more books actually in the bookcase, and I added more books on this shelf here in front of my like writing reference books and things like that because I don't reach for them anywhere near as often as the rest of my stuff. And then taking you on a tour. Over here is where I currently, with all of my vitamins and things over there, over here is where I currently keep my monthly TBR. So these are the books that are left. I think Why It's Our Guess OC is the one that I am going to try to start and finish this morning slash afternoon. And then clear on the other side of my room, I have the book graveyard, which is currently in that bag, and starting another little pile over here. Hello to my feet. So that's kind of the book-ish stuff. So yeah, that's basically what I did yesterday in addition to a deep clean. Like everything was taken off or from surfaces, dusted, vacuumed, polished, the whole 9 yards. So now the room feels very, very clean and very, very organized, which I have got to admit I do enjoy. The problem is that I am a 32-year-old living out of her childhood bedroom. So I have a lot of stuff and not a ton of space. I basically use this effectively like a studio apartment, where it's my office, it's my bedroom, it's my living room. It's everything basically except a bathroom and a kitchen. So it can get messy in here, especially now because I work from home. So I'm in here 80% of the time. So it does feel nice that it is organized. But the game plan for this morning, I think what I'm going to do now is, since I have the house to myself, I am going to put on my laundry like a proper adult. And then I think I'm going to do a couple face masks because I find that my skin is really dry in the winter, but also because like my skin has gone through the ringer with sugar and things from the holidays and from my birthday too. It's not super happy. That's why Mount Vesuvius is over there, and I did the bad thing and popped it this morning, so it is a little bit angry at me. But I think what I'll do is put on some of my skincare masks and go through that while I'm reading. But I'll do that while enjoying Wide Sargasso Sea. It's, as I said yesterday when I started this vlog, it's like 150 pages. So I do think if I really sit down to it, I can probably finish it by the time my parents get home. They're going to be gone for a few hours, and Kelsey is currently in Aruba. So I think that is the game plan. Um, and yeah, I'm just going to enjoy the quiet, the warmth of the house, and some lovely, lovely skincare. So I will check in with you once I have accomplished some more reading. All right. So it is just afternoon, and I figured I'd check in while I am eating my bowl of homemade soup, chicken noodle soup that mom made. Um, but I don't know how much longer I have the house to myself, so I figured I'd take advantage of being able to sit out here for a little bit and read uninterrupted. But I did get through a little bit of Wide Sargasso Sea. I read the first part of the book so far, which is about 60 pages, so I'm roughly a third of the way through, and I honestly did not know what to expect from this book, beyond the fact that it is basically an origin story for the mad woman in the attic in Jane Eyre. And if you haven't read Jane Eyre, this could be a little bit spoilery, so bear that in mind. I will put like a little spoiler thing at the bottom, and I'll take it off when it's safe for you to do so. But effectively, the mad woman in the attic is Mr. Rochester's first wife, Bertha Mason. And so this is supposed to kind of explain how this Creole woman from the Caribbean ends up marrying Mr. Rochester, ends up in England, and ends up in his attic. And so that's what this is supposed to explain. So I really didn't know much more about Bertha or Antoinette beyond what we were told in Jane Eyre. So this has been interesting. Book one, or part one of this book, is set in Jamaica in the 1830s. It's right after slavery has been abolished there, and tensions, like racial tensions, are running very high. And it's interesting to me because I probably should have suspected that race would play such a huge role in this book. I should have guessed, but I didn't. So I was caught completely unaware when the N-word made its appearance several times, but effectively Antoinette is a young woman, and they were slave owners, plantation owners, and they now, because their like livelihood, which is using enslaved peoples to do whatever they were producing on their plantation. They've fallen on hard times and they are despised, rightfully so, by the Black Jamaicans. You're just hearing the bitterness from the Black Jamaicans and even from the like white slave plantation owner type individuals as well. But there's a lot of tension there, and it's really, really fascinating. I think, too, that it's fascinating to see how this idea of madness is being woven in and seems to be hereditary. Like there is this so-called taint to the family, like her brother has some sort of mental illness and then her mother actually goes quote unquote mad. So it is, I guess, really doing a good job at maintaining some of the themes that were in Jane Eyre. But yeah, so far so good. As I said, the racial tensions have been really intense at this point, and it's very easy to feel bad for Antoinette because she does seem pretty isolated. It's interesting. I'm going to keep following these things. I'm enjoying it so far. I feel like if you are someone who enjoyed Jane Eyre, that this is probably a book that you will also enjoy. I have always been curious about the deal with Bertha Mason, who is Bertha Antoinette Mason. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. I'm going to read while I eat my lunch, and I should be able to finish it in the next couple of hours. So yeah, I'm gonna go eat my soup now before it gets cold, but I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye. Hello. It is 4:30 and I'm checking in because I did finish Wide Sargasso Sea and we're kind of winding down this 24-hour reading vlog. I have a few more hours to go, 3 or 4. No, that's a lie. It's 5, 6, I think, at this point. So I don't anticipate finishing another book, but I will at least start one. But I did want to give an update on Wide Sargasso Sea because this has been a highly anticipated read for me for basically years. And I finally got to it. It has made many a TBR, whether it was for this booktube channel or just personally. Finally got to it, and I enjoyed it. I was really interested in part 2, which is really the bulk of the novel because it is the actual marriage between Mr. Rochester and Antoinette. And it's like, I think the first time I read Jane Eyre, it was very easy for me as a young, like, preteen or teenager to kind of cast her as this villain in like this person who ended up being in the way of Jane and Mr. Rochester's love and romance and all of that. As I've gotten older, that has since changed, but I found that this book made me sympathize with her so much, made her so real, and it also made me feel a bit icky about Mr. Rochester. Part of part 2 is told from his POV, and for a little while I was just like, I don't know if I believe that this is Mr. Rochester. Like, the character didn't seem like the one I remember so vividly from having read that book. He's young and besotted by his wife, and like seeing him on a honeymoon, can't get enough of her type thing. Like, even though he declares that he does not love her, it's more like a physical thing. He's attracted to her. I didn't know how I felt about him cast as that character, and then as it develops, as the situation deteriorates to what we know it to be from Jane Eyre, he starts to feel more like the Mr. Rochester I know, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. But there you have it. I do think, though, that part 3 is a little bit rushed, because that part I didn't necessarily feel was super satisfying. It is basically Antoinette in the attic at Thornfield, but it was like a fraction of the book. But what I did find interesting about this was the way that it really captured a lot of the like essence of Jane Eyre, I think, with the sort of somewhat gothic elements. I think with some of the feminism that's there. I mean, when I think of like Tenant Wildfeld Hall by Anne Bronte, I feel like that was infinitely more feminist than Jane Eyre, but I do feel like characters like Christophine and even Antoinette do have this like strength and feminist vibe to them. So I liked that. I think that all of the characters were really interesting, especially Christophine. Definitely, as I read like the introduction after I read this, because I didn't want any spoilers, like I would love to see a book on her in particular. But it was a lot of fun. I think if you're someone who really enjoyed Jane Eyre, you'd probably enjoy this. It is definitely a significantly different writing style. I mean, Charlotte Bronte was writing in the 19th century. This was written, I think, in the 1960s, so in the middle of the 20th century. But there's something still very poetic about it, something really enjoyable about it. I'd be interested in reading more Jean Rhys for sure at this point. But yeah, just to say, I really enjoyed it. I think this is easily a book that I would have had a field day with in school, interpreting. I think it's definitely something that I would want to read again, maybe read Jane Eyre and then reread this, because it has been a long time since I read Jane Eyre, even though I've reread it probably a half dozen times or more at this point in my life. But I would be interested, because as I said, I was kind of concerned about Rochester's voice in the beginning. But I would say it ends up being a 4-star for me, just because I do feel like the end is a little rushed. It wasn't super satisfactory for me. Anyway, moving on. It is something to 5 in the evening now, and what I think I'm gonna do is actually take a little bit of a reading break. I kind of sort of want to just like pop on a movie or something and watch that for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then pick up another book and read until the end of this vlog time, whatever time that is. I don't know if it's, I think it's 9:30. I have to double check. But I do think I'm going to start Moon Tiger next. As I said, I don't anticipate finishing it during this vlog. That would be reading at warp speed, and I do want to enjoy it because that's another book that I think I will really enjoy. But once I've read a little bit of that, I'll check in and probably wrap up this vlog. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna go watch a movie, maybe play with my tarot cards. I have the urge to pull those out today. I don't know why. So I'm gonna do that. So yeah, I'll check in with you a little bit later. It's that time. I can't believe the last 24 hours have actually passed. But I'm back where this reading vlog started, and I'm here to report on Moon Tiger because after I finished, I think it was called An Inspector Calls, which featured 2 Peaky Blinder actors. But then I did start this, and have you ever had that moment when you've read the like first few pages of a book and it just speaks to you and it sends actual shivers down your spine? Because that just happened with this book. By page 8, I was saying I'd be surprised if this weren't 5 stars. By page 54, which is where I am currently, I'm thinking possible new favorite. I am somewhat obsessed with the character of Claudia, who is the narrator. So to give you a little detail of what this is about, Claudia is this maverick writer type person, but she is in her 80s, I think, and on her deathbed, and she decides that she is going to tell the history of the world, but she's going to tell the history of the world through the lens of Claudia. She has a bit of an ego, but her voice, her character's voice and personality is so real that it's almost like being able to visualize her sitting in front of me saying the things that she's saying. It is sharp and clever, and it goes from having these like bickering matches with her daughter's father or her brother to her making these like observations about history and life and people in general that just are so spot on. And I am having a fabulous time like getting to see the world through her eyes and getting this like weird Claudia style alternate history type thing that's going on. It's very hard to explain right now. Hopefully by the time I finish the book, I will understand it a little bit more. But Claudia as a character is freaking brilliant. I am obsessed. I can't wait to continue reading this book. I am like kicking myself for taking as long as I have to get to this because it has been sitting on my bookshelf for like a year and I should have read this sooner. That's how I feel about it right now, but it's so interesting to see her talking about her life and seeing how she's interacting with people. The main individuals are her brother Gordon, who she's like fiercely competitive with, and there are some hilarious moments there. But then there's also her daughter's father, Jasper, and they have this interesting relationship that's like just entertaining. And then there are these moments when you'll actually see the same scene through these like small vignettes where you might be in Claudia's POV, but then you might be in Gordon's, and then you might be in another character's POV, and they're all seeing the same scene and kind of I'm a fan. Like I'm obsessed. But I was completely wrong where I said, like, at this point that I thought it was going to be sad and tragic, because it's actually making me, like, laugh a little bit, some of these interactions between these characters. But I want more. I really feel as though at this point it is how many pages? It's just over 200 pages. So I am, what, a quarter of the way through the book. I feel like it would have to go really pear-shaped for it to not be a 4 or 5 star, because the character of Claudia, a masterpiece. I want to be her friend. I want to invite her to dinner. I want just all the things, all of the things. So I will leave you with that note on this book. You will definitely hear more about it if you haven't already, in my January wrap-up. But anyway, it is now something to 9 on Sunday, and I have done a fair amount of reading. I finished A Doll's House. I finished Wide Sargasso Sea. I read 50 pages of this, and I read 50 pages of Breasts and Eggs, but overall, it has been fun. However, now what I'm gonna do is eat my Jamaican patty that is in the oven. The parents brought it from the Bronx earlier, so that has my name written all over it. And then I'm gonna put on a movie, relax, and then tomorrow read a little bit more and just enjoy the day off with some movies and some relaxation and all that jazz. But I do hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog. If you like this format, this 24-hour following me through a reading journey type situation, let me know in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed this, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, because all of those things help this little channel grow, and they mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.